Robinson has done so much. She has conquered so many amazing, incredible things. She's a personal stylist, speaker, and coach. She's the founder of the Be Styled for Life, a company dedicated to helping business women reclaim their time and confidence. She's also a best-selling author of Be Styled for Life, Living with Sass and Style Over 50, and her new book, Ted's Revenge, Overcoming Life's Challenges with Sass and Style, has profoundly impacted many lives, guiding people through their struggles and transforming challenges into opportunities. She's also captivated a local audience with her appearance in the TED Talk, TEDx in London, which reached an impressive 261,000 people, talking about the idea that broken things can be repaired to become even more solid and valuable than they were before. I think that is so beautiful and powerful. And she's been nominated for the prestigious 2023 Gold Coast Girls in Business Gala Awards. And lastly, her Take a Moment podcast on Spotify has been remarkably successful. The podcast serves as a powerful platform empowering women to recognize that despite the challenges and difficulties they face in life, they can emerge on the other side even better and stronger than ever before. Wow. Hi, Moana. How are you?
Hi, I'm fantastic. Thank you.
Thank you so much for being here with us. I feel very honored and I can't wait to talk to you about some really important subjects, I think, that impact a lot of women in business and women in general. I think that, yesterday I was doing some research for this interview and I came across lots of different interviews that you have done. And I think your message is so, so powerful. So why don't you just start telling us like how you started working with people around, helping them with their personal style?
Thank you so much for having me on here, Angelica. I've always had an interest in style and colours. I think it probably stemmed from my dad's side of the family, who was very arty. I have artists in my family, and I would love to pursue a hobby of art. I would love to learn more about art. I think it really started from that. I also had an aunt who used to have fashion stores, and I used to go and help her during the school holidays. Growing up, I didn't actually get into fashion and colours and things like that. I went off and did the normal secretarial type work and worked in a legal office. And then after my children had grown up, then I pursued my interest in beauty. So I went and did a beauty therapy diploma and then went back to work for the family business. But then I decided to pursue my interest in fashion and I became an image consultant. And I used to spend a lot of time telling people I wasn't just about the outside, it was also about the inside. I'm really, really interested in what goes on inside a person and how they behave, how they think, how they react to things. So it's a lifelong study, really. I enjoy learning and I enjoy meeting new people. So,
that's beautiful.
Yeah, that's why I did the life coaching as well.
I think what you said is so important. The reflection of our outside is the reflection of what's going on inside, right?
Yes.
Like, what are the common things that you see on your clients around, this dynamics of, what's happening outside, it is what really it's going on inside.
Most of my clients are sort of 40 plus age group, and a lot of them use the word lost,
okay.
Frustrated. They just don't know what to wear anymore. They don't know what colors suit them. I've even had some women say that they haven't got a clue about what color suits them. I've had one client not go out on a dinner date with her husband because she didn't know what to wear, or to stay at home because she didn't know what to wear. And I just thought that was very, very sad,
Yes.
And I just think people, if they can learn to be curious about themselves and be their own best and most interesting project.
I think what you said, it's interesting because, like when you talk about like the 40 plus, maybe they've already had children, they dedicated so much time to their children and maybe their career as well. And they got lost in spending time with themselves, right? In understanding who they are. And then all of a sudden you're like, I don't even know what I like anymore. I don't even know who this person is in the mirror. Like, do you find that that is also kind of the catalyst of them being in that place, or?
Yes, and I find, most coaches out there will know all about the wheel of life, and it's usually it's because they've spent so much time in one area. It could be in their career or
Mm-hmm.
starting a business or even raising a family. And once you let that side of it go, working on yourself or thinking about yourself, which is very common as women, then that wheel's a bit clunky. It's all
Mm-hmm.
one-sided. And that's what happens if you spend so much time in one area.
Yeah, that is so true.
Yeah,
And what transformation do you see? So somebody who is lost, somebody that doesn't like how they look or whatever clothes that they're wearing or the
yeah.
colors or whatever. Like, what are the transformations that you see in your clients?
With some clients, I find that it's almost like people who eat too much. They're trying to fill and trying to satisfy that inner child. Some people go out and they will just shop and shop and shop
Hmm.
because they're trying to fill a need, and they're trying to work out what is going to make me look better, what is going to make me feel
Hmm.
better. And then they've got all the complications of advertising and marketing and
Oh
shop
no.
assistants being pushy and people telling them they suit something when they really don't. So I find it helps people who shop too much, and then you find people who are too scared to go shopping. They don't have confidence to go shopping. And
Mm.
even something as simple as getting your colours done, you've got that colour swatch and you can take the colour swatch out, and I always say bond with your colour swatch, really get to know it. And I explain to them how to use it. They don't have to be a slave to that colour swatch, just
Mhm.
like they don't have to be a slave to fashion, but just
Mhm.
use that as a confidence tool, as an anchor when they go out shopping.
Yeah, I think what you said, it is quite common these days, right? There is so many addictive things that we can hang on to these days in the world, right? Like the shopping, the
Yeah.
eating,
Mm.
the social media scrolling, the online kind of shopping is massive. It makes it easier, isn't it? Like, but at the end of the day, it's just like it's really feeling in a need that it's unfulfilled
Yes.
by grabbing onto something external. And until you make that transformation inside yourself, you're just going to keep down that path, right?
Yep. I heard Tony Robbins once say, when he was doing a talk, that the reason a lot of people are depressed, or he was talking about people that commit suicide, later on in life, it's usually because they have led an unfulfilled life.
Mhm.
And I think sometimes that's what we're always trying to do, is fill ourselves up with something that's going to make us feel better. But if we know ourselves really, really well, once you know yourself, that is the key to confidence. Once you know and understand yourself, then you'll be confident, and also it helps you to know and understand other people.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah,
I find that, for me, because I had a journey with the cancer and it was kind of facing my mortality, I had to kind of go inwards and go through this, this process myself. But, a lot of people are living unconsciously because it's very difficult for them to go inwards. There is no, people don't have time.
mm.
There's lots of things outside that hook them the attention into. I mean, do you find that, people come to you thinking they're gonna get just like the colors and the clothes, and then all of a sudden you're like, well, actually,
Yes, and at the moment, I'm kind of rejigging my business to incorporate a service which is more holistic, covers
Mhm.
style and the coaching, because some clients come to me for color and style, some come for either or, and then they'll say, oh, actually, I think I'd like to do some coaching. Or sometimes some women come for coaching and then they say, oh, I think I'd like to do color and style. So it is kind of a holistic type of service, and most clients say, I didn't realize there was so much involved in color, so much involved in style. And with me being a coach, I understand a lot more than just, and I'm so thrilled because now it's not just the outside image, it's not purely fashion, the latest fashion. It's what
Yeah.
suits the person.
And how do they receive that? Like, I know that, a lot of people have resistance to change, right? Like especially when it comes to our darkest wounds and our most painful ones, and somebody's kind of trying to guide you through a different journey. How do they receive that?
I think that's the benefit of starting with the outside sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
When people get to know me and they feel more comfortable and they realize that I'm very approachable and friendly and down to earth, and then they feel more comfortable to go into the coaching side of things, because coaching can be a bit confronting. And
Mm-hmm.
this is why I've switched from doing solely coaching and solely hypnotherapy.
Mm-hmm.
At the age that I am now too, I want to do the things that I enjoy. So I find it very rewarding to get to know my clients, and then sometimes it's a nice segue into the coaching.
Yes, that's awesome. And I just want to talk a little bit about your book, which is,
Mm-hmm.
tell us a little bit more about it. Like, what inspired you to write '𝗙𝗔𝗧𝗪 Revenge, overcoming life challenge, with Sass and Style. I think I love the title. Tell us a little bit more about what inspired you.
Well, both my books, the first book, Be Style for Life, Living with Sass and Style Over 50, and also 𝗙𝗢𝗧𝗪𝗏 Revenge, have the word sass in them. And to me, sass stands for self-awareness and self-sufficiency, because I want to empower people to have everything that they need inside of themselves. And hopefully my two books help people to do that. But 𝗙𝗢𝗧𝗪𝗏 Revenge, this book here, actually Teddy's sitting right behind me, is keeping my back warm.
Nice.
Well, actually it's 𝗬𝗧𝗧𝗪𝗏, it's his sister. 𝗙𝗢𝗧𝗪𝗏 Revenge was written kind of as a spontaneous book, because I was going to write a business book.
Mm-hmm.
And then a whole lot of events that happened in 2021 meant that I wanted to write a book that was cathartic, because I've heard your story too, and I was blown away by your story, and I understand how you felt, because in 2021, I had 7 surgeries within 3 months, and all of them were unexpected. It was just quite amazing. When I tell people, they just can't believe what happened. I had carotid artery surgery, which was, but a week before that, I actually broke my little puppy's leg by accident. And I had this carotid artery surgery, and that kind of went a bit unexpectedly wrong, and I was in intensive care and had the 4 surgeries within a week. So the same side of my neck was opened up, and it was the last time I went in, I actually thought that I wouldn't wake up from that surgery. So it was like Groundhog Day, like just one day after the other, getting whizzed into the operating theatre. So it was a bit of a nightmare. I came out and I was coughing because I had damage to my vocal cords. I got up at night and my little puppy dog had left a little puddle of wee. So I slipped over on that and badly broke my wrist. So I had to go in and have surgery again. So that was number 5, I think. Yeah. And then, then I had to have repair to my vocal cords. But you wouldn't believe it, when I hit send to publish this book, which is all about that journey of going through all those surgeries, but it's also what Teddy taught me. It's a really funny kind of a book. It's got a lot of Teddy's tips in there, which are tips seen from a dog's point of view and how to handle life. But you wouldn't believe it, I hit send just to publish this book, and I had another fall and broke my elbow. And I think really that's the universe's way of saying, well, don't get too complacent. You can't have a whole lot of things happen like, continuous waves and think, okay, I've had enough now. That'll do. Because life isn't like that. Life is always going to throw unexpected things at you.
Yeah, I think we talked once we met in person, right, about that, and how easy it is to fall into that victim mindset, right? Like, it sounds like what you went through was, crazy. Like, it just so easy to be, have gone downhill, right? Like, why is this happening to me? Why am I going through this? Another surgery? Why didn't it go right? Why did it go wrong? All of that. I mean, I think that, when you talk about this self-awareness, it's and self-sufficient, so powerful. Like during my cancer treatment, I was so dependent on my husband and on other people
Yeah.
that I promised myself that, I was never going to let my health go anymore, because I didn't want to be in that place anymore.
Mm.
And I'm not saying that I'm not going to be, because we don't know what's going to happen, right? But all I'm saying is that I do everything I can each day, so
Yeah.
I don't have to go down that road anymore, right? Like,
Mm.
how do you, now after working with people, like, what are the main differences between people that keep going down that victim mentality and mindset, to actually truly empower themselves during challenging times? Because we don't know what we are made of until we go through challenges, right?
That's so true, so true. Well, the nurses in intensive care kept saying to me, "Oh, you're so strong, you're such a trooper. I don't know how you're doing this every day." And I thought, it's not as though I have a choice. Like, what do I do? Just curl up and die? Just think. I think the key is to think as though you don't have a choice.
Mm-hmm.
It's like getting up out of bed in the morning. You just, if you've got to get up and get your day started, no matter how you feel, just do it as though you don't have a choice. It's
Yeah.
sometimes if you feel like staying in bed on a really cold winter's morning and you've got two puppy dogs snuggled up next to you, that's the reason sometimes it's hard to get out of bed, because you have a choice. But if you just think that there is no choice but to be positive and to move on and do whatever it is you need to do, like bookwork isn't my favorite thing to do, but if I take that choice away, I do my own bookwork. So I just think, okay, I don't have a choice. I've just got to do my bookwork. Take that choice away and just carry on and get done what you need to get done.
Yeah, that
Yeah.
is beautifully said. I think, there's so much talks around mindset and, mental work,
Mm.
through, affirmations and manifestation. But the reality is, until you actually do and take the action, nothing
Yes.
happens.
Yeah.
It's really like I say, if you're just led by, oh, I feel like exercising today, I feel like writing my book, there will be no books written.
Mm. Yeah.
There will be nobody, nobody, healthy around in the world, because everybody that is getting up and exercising every day, they are just doing it because they don't give themselves the choice not to.
Well, I don't go to a gym as much anymore. But when I used to go to a gym, I used to do pump classes and things like that. And I used to decide whether I was going to the gym or not while I was putting my gym clothes on. Or if you're going for a walk, put your walking shoes on and decide, just start taking the action, and that's when it happens. That's when it's all about creating a verb, like a doing word, instead of just
Thinking.
the word.
Yeah.
Yeah. I want to go for a walk, and then just start walking, start the doing. So you're quite right. Yeah.
Yeah, that's beautiful.
Mm.
And what about the TED Talk? I thought that was so powerful, especially because you did it during the pandemic, right? Like was right in the middle when the world was kind of upside down, and I thought it was
Yeah.
so important, that message that you talked about. I mean, what inspired you to talk about that as well?
I love a lot of the Japanese cultures, like ikigai. I love that concept of ikigai, doing something that you love and something the world needs and something you also make money from. And I also love the art, kintsugi, of putting the pottery bowl back together with gold. And during the pandemic, I got so sick and tired of all the negative talk. I
Hmm.
could just feel that oppression and hearing all the suffering. And I just thought, there are so many good things in a lot of the cultures around the world. And I felt that it's the first time in my lifetime that it's something that's affected the whole world, not just one country or one or two countries, the whole world. And I just thought, why can't we fix a broken world and just take the best pieces, concentrate on the positives and all these wonderful cultures that we have in Sweden and Japan and Greece, a lot of these cultures that I talked about in the talk, where they're positive. It's thinking about the positive, no matter how small, but that's what keeps people going.
Yeah, that's so beautiful. And at that time, and I think, I don't watch the news, and at the time of the pandemic, I didn't watch the news at all.
Yeah.
And we have like a joke in our house. Now my kids are only young; they're only 11 and 9. It would be like, "Oh, do you want to get depressed? Just watch the news." Feel free. So even then, they know about it. So, but I know what you're talking about. Like it takes like each of us to shift the energy, especially as a collective, right? To really
Yes.
change. It was almost like there was this black cloud on top of the world, and we needed to start shifting that, which it was heavy. Like I said, it wasn't benefiting anyone. And I think, showing up each day differently, it's what we can do as a collective to keep changing the world, right?
Yes. Oh, so many, and there were so many positives really that came out of it. I'm not saying that the pandemic was a good thing, but even like the local coffee shop that my husband and I go to, they would get, during the lockdown when you could only get takeaway coffee, all the staff there, all the team would get dressed in fancy dress. One day they'd be wearing Hawaiian costumes, next day dressed in nuns' habits. It's small things like that, and you just gravitate towards those people that make life a lot better. And I really believe in the medicine of laughter and laughing, and laughing with your girlfriends, laughing with your friends and family. It's really therapeutic to laugh.
Yeah, laughter is being scientifically proven to be a medicine, to help people. So I think that's very true as well. Now, tell us a little bit more about your podcast as well. Take a moment. Like, what inspired you to start your podcast?
I have been doing 𝗕𝗢𝗦𝗖𝗢𝗡 way even before lives were about. And I started it when I had a team, when I was a consultant in a skincare company, and I would do it on a Monday morning, and I called it Take a Moment then. And that was to inspire my team and set them up for the week and keep them going. So it was just a live, well, I just did a video, but it wasn't live. And I would just have a rule for myself that I would just put it up. I wouldn't even watch it, no matter whether I had makeup on or not. I would just do it one take, and that was it. And then for some reason, when lives came about, I was a bit hesitant to do lives, but I shouldn't have been, because I used to do my Take a Moments. And then we would travel overseas, and I interviewed just ordinary people, taxi drivers, waiters, lots and lots of different people. So I've got those on my YouTube channel as well. And then someone said to me recently, actually one of my coaches said to me recently, why don't you do a podcast and use your Take a Moment? And so I started doing that. So now I'm sort of interviewing women approaching or around about the age of 50 who have overcome challenges, and they're now living their best life.
Amazing. Yeah. And who hasn't overcome challenges, right? Like when by the time you I think they say that by the time you're 35, you have gone through, pretty much all life kind of events and feelings and emotions. And after that, it's kind of, what to expect, but life is constantly throwing at us unexpected things, so we can, choose how to react, right?
Yes. Yeah.
What would you say is the most common theme that comes up in your podcast with the ladies that are over 50? What sort of challenges they have?
A few of the ladies I've interviewed have gone through a divorce or separation, and they have had to redefine their whole life, rediscover themselves, learn about themselves, even learn what they like and what they don't like, learn what they're passionate about. That's probably been one of the most common themes. And then there have been some illnesses, people like yourself who have come through the other side from something traumatic like cancers. So, and I've only just started the podcast, so I'm very excited. I've got a few more people lined up, including yourself.
Amazing. I think, when you look at, I think, there's a list of what are the most traumatic things you can go through, divorce and an illness it's kind of all up there. And I see, I'm very blessed that I'm married and I'm happily married, but I know that, going through divorce can leave you with so many wounds, and, you can either make a choice to let that define you,
Yeah.
or just take a different path. And I'm not saying that that's easy, because I haven't gone through that myself, but I think that there is a lot of people that can come out on the other side, feeling, looking, and being their best, right? So it's really learning from, these ordinary people, just to know that there is hope and there is a way, to not to stay in that place of suffering.
It's coping with change, really. It's adapting to change. And a lot of women are also have come through loneliness. It's not talked about as much, but there are different reasons that women feel lonely and isolated. It could be retiring after, a lifelong job that they've had, or moving countries, or just so many things, like the divorce and separation. It could be going through an illness. That can be a very lonely journey as well. So a lot of women do feel lonely and isolated. And that's one of the reasons that I started my online courses on my website for styling, was I wanted to give women who live remotely access to a personal stylist, and same with coaching. So everything I do is online as well as face-to-face.
Yeah, that's amazing. Yeah. I mean, loneliness is one of the almost, I think the percentages are so high these days, as in the biggest killers of our society, right?
Yes.
And you probably have worked as well with people that, loneliness does not mean that they don't have anybody physically. That could also mean that they are in a relationship and being lonely, right? Like, I have worked with people that are in that place, and it's sad, because it's not that your eyes are, they might be going to a job, they might still having the interaction with other people, but inside they still feel lonely.
Yeah, and sometimes on the outside you can't tell. It's like, people that have an invisible illness or disability. You can't see, other people can't see it from the outside. And I've always agreed with that saying, that everybody's fighting some kind of battle. So whether it's, it could be mental illness or something physical on the inside, or loneliness and unhappy relationship. That's why it's good if everybody can be kind and have empathy for other people.
Yes, for sure. Yeah. And when you talk about adapting to change, what do you think it is, the hardest, the most challenging thing for people when they think about change?
Just getting out of their comfort zone. People are always more comfortable with what they know, and that's why I think it's a really good trait to have, is to be a little bit adaptable. So when I was speaking before about taking away a choice, that's more to do with staying strong and resilient. If there's something that, to look at the alternative. And the same thing with what we're talking about here, is to look at the alternative and look at your percentage of happiness. If you spend a higher percentage of your time unhappy, then it's good to change. And if you are forced into a change, then find out a way that you can make that change of benefit to you. And sometimes a change is a blessing in disguise.
Yeah. You might not see at the time, right? But is that self-awareness piece that you mentioned about the 𝗧𝗓, right? That a lot of people are unhappy, but they got used to being unhappy. So they don't even realize how unhappy they are, right? So it takes, like that first step of being aware to go, okay, well, I am unhappy and I need to change, and I'm prepared to do the work towards changing, right?
Yes. Yeah. And that's why I love doing all the things that I'm doing. If I don't enjoy doing something anymore, I don't do it. So I'm involved in a few things. I'm involved in 𝗕𝗢𝗪𝗔𝗍, which is a group of coaches, and we are online. Just so many different things. But I'm choosing what I use my time for now. And I think it's important with change to be self-aware. Because everybody's in charge of their own life, and it's their responsibility to make their life work for them.
Yeah, for sure. And if people that are listening, like when people think about like, oh, but but I need to go to work, I need to do all of those things, I need, and I hate it, but I still need to do. What do you have to say to them?
Find something that they like about their work so that they want to go to work. And we always talk about the language when we're talking to ourselves, that word need, and change it to want. Even if it's just something enjoyable about your day that you look forward to. And if you really hate it that much, it's time to change.
Yes, for sure.
Yeah. Everybody does things that may not be top of their priority to start with, but sometimes it's a means to an end. And if it's almost like an apprenticeship. If you can start doing something and think of it as the journey towards that goal, when you're goal setting and you have the tasks to achieve that goal, just think of, if it's a job until you get to a certain stage, think of that job as one of those stepping stones to where you want to go. Always have something in the horizon that you're looking forward to.
Yeah, I think that's so important. It's like you mentioned before, writing a book. It's not your, most, preferred work, but that if you want to release a book, you've got to write it, right?
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
𝗕𝗢𝗚𝗬𝗏 Revenge, I actually wrote mainly for myself, and we turned the whole thing into a joke. I think that's the way that I could cope with it all, was turning it into a joke, because I'd had so many scary moments up until when I slipped on that puddle of wee and broke my wrist. People couldn't believe it when I was back in hospital again, and it was all we could do was laugh. And there was Teddy, with his bandage on his paw because I'd broken his foot, and we just sort of said, oh, well, Teddy got his revenge. So
I love that. I love
yeah.
that. So now, if there is somebody out there listening to this and they're thinking like, I really need to change, my style. I want to, feel good, my own skin, in my own body. I want to look good. I want to be my best. How can they reach out to you?
On my website, I've got a booking form for a 15-minute chat. So that's probably the best way to start. Then they can chat to me and we can go from there.
Yeah, amazing.
Yeah.
And if they're sitting on the fence thinking like, oh, I'm not sure, like what do you say to that person who is feeling potentially lost? Potentially like, I need to change, but I don't know how to.
Make a start. Just do something. Just take that first step. And that's what I talk about in 𝗕𝗢𝗚𝗬𝗏 Revenge, taking that first step. I've even got some little notepads with paw prints down the notepad for each step to take. Take that first step and you will get there. Everything starts with that first step.
Yeah, amazing. Yeah, that's a powerful message.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much, Moana, for being here. I love your story. And I love that you have done so many different things. And it sounds like, you're leading a life that you truly enjoy it. There's so much talks about, especially in the marketing business space, that you need just to be in one box and doing one thing. And you've just, done so many different things, throughout your life, and also like taking from your different experiences. And I think that is really, really beautiful that you're creating what you want, really, truly, for your life.
Oh, thank you, Angelica. I'm really an admirer of you and everything you've done as well.
Well, thank you so much. And I'll add your details below in the comments. So feel free to contact Moana, everyone. And I will see you on the next one. Take care.
I'd love to chat with you all. Thanks.